I greet you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. Event is coming soon. YouTube channel. Here's the latest intel.
Update: Intel from retired Sergeant Clifford Stone, CIA-based fake news on YouTube, Siberian cooperation with ET disclosure efforts, and more. This report comes to us with a bit more urgency than some of the others. These disclosures of possible events from Ken Dunn and Gary Larrabee have played a significant role in opening the eyes of many people to the world around us. Though these revelations have been impactful, the truth of this world remains all but completely hidden from view. Update: Reports of new healing energies, the mass exodus, the judgment of the Cabal, and the end of evil on planet Earth. Within this interview, Ken Dunn discloses a number of significant and upcoming events. These include the increasing progress of the Alliance, the coming disclosures in the near future on ETs, and the attempts of the Cabal or remnants at stopping these disclosures. What is particularly interesting about this interview is the reported participation of a well-known whistleblower from the Black Ops and military community, retired Sergeant Clifford Stone. Ken Dunn working with Clifford Stone in Nazar News exposes the real alien universe, fake news and more. It is interesting to learn that the CIA may be stepping up their disinformation efforts on social media platforms such as YouTube. Most of those who are internet savvy are well aware of the truth of fake news. This fake news was a label that was originally used as an excuse to silence and censor the alternative media. Those of us in the alternative community know that this censorship is being imposed because the establishment is doing everything they can to stop the continuing collapse of their power and significance in this world. We may also know that the corporate media is little more than a propaganda machine which has the specific task of producing fake news. However, this has become obvious as recent times. The NA legalizes the use of propaganda on United States citizens, commentary and links, plus an interview with Dr. Udo Ulfkott. What may not be so obvious is the reason why the CIA is escalating their disinformation campaign. If these corrupt agencies are investing so much time, money and energy into propaganda, there would have to be substantial reasoning behind it, something they are preparing for, perhaps. In my view, this is a significant sign that the disclosures of truth are going to start kicking into high gear. We have already seen this information come forward at an ever-quickening pace, including revelations of international money laundering, rampant pedophilia and child trafficking rings, and even Antarctic excavation of ancient civilizations. This information is unlike anything we have seen since the inception of mass media. 5 times corporate media got caught publishing fake news causing the death and suffering of millions. It would make sense that the corrupt within the CIA would still be working for what is left of the Cabal in some type of attempt to save what little power this fading group has. However, this seems like a hopeless situation for such criminals. There is so little left for them, and it seems that turning themselves in would be a much better option than continuing their treachery to the bitter end. I guess you can't beat them for persistence. Sergeant Clifford Stone. Many of us may have heard the testimony of Clifford Stone from his appearance on the Gaia series, Cosmic Disclosure. On a number of episodes, Mr. Stone recounted his experience in the United States Army during the time of the Vietnam War. Stone reported to have numerous encounters with a number of different types of alien life forms, mainly greys, during his tour both in the United States and overseas. These opportunities came to Mr. Stone after he was identified as a highly sensitive empath from early childhood and became the interest of both military and ET groups. Cosmic Disclosure with David Wilcock and Corey Good, Close Encounters with Clifford Stone, recounting unforgettable experiences from the world of Black Ops. From an early age, Clifford Stone was actually surrounded by beings who, at first, appeared to be small children like he was at the time. He later realized that these were not children, but we actually disguised ETs that were there to observe him. According to Stone's testimony, these beings were interested in his quality of empathy, a trait which these beings lacked. From that point on, Stone was groomed by military to be what is termed by the secret space programs as an intuitive empath. In this position he would be introduced to a variety of experiences and interactions with ETs for communication, a process called interfacing by the SSP. Here is an excerpt from a recent article on the testimony of retired Sergeant Clifford Stone. The scenario begins when Stone is called to the scene of a crashed spacecraft with a military perimeter set up around it. Within this perimeter, there was one lone survivor of the crash, a being classified as a certain species of gray. We start out when Stone approaches and interfaces with this being. And I said, you know, there's no one gonna hurt you. But you know, he had that fear. So I went ahead and I said, well, what can I do? He says, my people are coming to get me. And if they come here, they're not gonna try to hurt no one. But because of the technology to extract me from inside this building, many of your kind will die and be injured. And I went ahead and said, what can I do to avoid that? Should I tell them? He says, no, they already know that that is a possibility. The ones that are here that know that. So I went ahead and said, okay, what can I do? He says, try to help me get outside. So I went ahead and had a friend of mine bring over some wire cutters and place them out by the fenced-in area because the building had a fence around it. And I went ahead and told the colonel, look, he's got to tell me something. But he says he will not do it because there is a little demonstration that goes along with it while any of the military is in here. I need the building completely cleared. And it's got to be just him and I. Reluctantly, the guy I always call the colonel, he cleared them. Once again, this alien was, and I can't call it a typical gray. But the skin was a little lighter than a typical gray. The facial features was about the same. The head was not totally round but, you know, S-long? Shape is the best way to put it. But he still had a definitive jaw and everything, the large eyes, but it had, like, a yellowish tint to it, if that makes any sense. But you know, when he looked up at me, I thought everything he was feeling. If you miss your child, if you had a person you miss, you got to understand they missed their family also. It's the same way. But you feel it from their perspective. And it's hard to put into words. But you feel it. Then, your own emotions come into play. And at the same time, you know that this low creature is willing to give up its life because it doesn't want to see us be hurt or destroyed because they're coming to get him. They cleared the place. And I went ahead and told him to follow me. And we started to go out. Then, as we started to go down the hallway, I started to hear other people yelling, halt, halt, halt. And it got to the point where they were saying halt or we will shoot. So I make him get in front of me. So he's in front of me. And we get out there. And I go ahead and I clip the fence as quickly and as fast as I could. He goes on out. Then, this craft comes over. And as the craft comes over, it was just like this bright light just shining down on the ground. And like, when it goes off, he's no longer there. He's rescued. But I can remember I was waiting to die that night because I heard people locking and loading their weapons. And I figured it's only a question of time before they are. I'm gonna get shot in the back because they're gonna identify me as being a traitor. And the colonel was very upset with me. When I called the colonel, he was very upset with me. And he just told me, the next time, let us know what you're gonna do. But I told him, you know, how do you keep guests under armed guards and call them guests? And the whole situation is, I will never understand that. He was left behind by his own. We knew of a landing. And we immediately put a pounce operation where we immediately went to the area and was gonna try to extract as much of the useful data we could get, even up to and including the craft, if possible. And I never liked the type of scenario. Cosmic Disclosure, Empaths and Extraterrestrials with Clifford Stone, a view into the world of special access and crash retrieval operations. This is just one of many different accounts which Clifford Stone has disclosed consistently since his membership on the Disclosure Project panel. His disclosures as a member of this panel were interesting as well, but there seemed to be pieces missing from these testimonies at that time. The strange part about the Disclosure Project hearings was that Stone and many other whistleblowers were not allowed to discuss certain topics. It was as though the testimony of these men and women were only accepted if they were extensively redacted, unbeknownst to the audience, and certain information kept silent. Yet despite this strange secrecy within disclosure, we are still able to hear the unedited version of Clifford Stone's accounts from a number of other sources. A word on religious texts. With each update we receive from Gary Larrabee, there comes a certain amount of religious belief combined with the disclosures. These are not typically an issue for those of us who are able to translate religious terminology into a less exclusive category for our own understanding. However, in this case it may be helpful to address a few details of Larrabee's commentary. When it comes to religious text, most of us know that there is quite a bit of distortion within these texts. From the Torah to the Quran and the Bible, each of these texts, though they may have a significant amount of ancient knowledge within them, tends to come with a notable amount of distortion. Whenever considering texts such as these, it is important to realize that both positive and negative beings have the ability to use willing human beings as channels. The succession of the Templars, ancient wisdom, myth, and distortion, navigating the journey from history to modern times. To add, unless a channel is highly skilled at their trade, not to mention extremely attentive to their condition while channeling, their message will typically come with a significant amount of inaccuracy, distortion and unknown manipulation. Upon hearing these distorted words, a scribe may not know the difference and record the distortion along with the accurate information. This problem is typically amplified by manipulative elitists through the centuries. Combined with a modern-day tendency to blindly accept ancient religious scripts, this can make for a significant problem. It is important to remember that discernment is always necessary when it comes to uncovering accurate information. Just because text is old does not make it perfect, and does not exempt us from doing our due diligence. It should be noted that correlation with these texts can assist us in our process of research, though we would do well to continue our research beyond that point. Closing words. Anytime we listen to or read information such as this, we have the opportunity to sharpen our skill of research and discernment. We may look at these reports as a chance to test our knowledge of the true situation as well as how to recognize the difference between the facts and the manipulation we have been conditioned to believe since childhood. It is both a privilege and a challenge to have one's beliefs brought into question. Some may see these tasks as problematic while some of us relish in the process of developing more awareness of self and of our human experience. As we embark upon this and other challenges, let's remember that no problem is too big to solve and no solution can hide from those with eyes and minds open. The video link for the video is in the article below in our description.
Please like us and share with your social media. Please subscribe and click the bell to be notified of our new videos.
Remember to check out our playlist for important intel you may have missed.
Be sure to enter our subscriber appreciation $100 monthly giveaway. The link is in our description.
And visit our sister channel. The event is coming soon for additional intel and information.
Stay tuned.
Victory of the Light.
Event is coming soon. YouTube channel.